When people talk about video games, the conversation often turns to how they can be harmful or addictive. And while it is true that video game addiction is a very serious issue, I want to share a different perspective. For me, video games have been a source of comfort and companionship during some of the darkest moments of my life. We all face hard times, whether it is trauma, the loss of a loved one, or just struggling with school or work. During those moments, we often turn to something to help us cope, to feel secure, to feel better, or simply to pass the time until life gets brighter. Some people find solace in exercise, binge watching TV shows, or even less healthy habits. For me, my refuge has always been video games. Throughout my life, video games have been a constant. When my parents divorced during my childhood, when I faced tough times at school, or when my early career was not progressing as I had hoped. Games gave me a sense of stability, even progression and escape. Even in my most heartbreaking moments, like losing a loved one, video games were there offering kind of solace that it is very hard to describe. The more immersive the game, the better it worked as a sanctuary. And one game that truly stands out in my memory is Persona 5. It was the first game in the Persona series I ever played, and it left a mark on my heart. My first playthrough of Persona 5 was during university, a relatively stable time in my life. I enjoyed the game, but it did not resonate with me as deeply as it would later. My second playthrough, however, came during COVID-19 lockdown, a period of isolation that coincided with the loss of my grandfather. I viewed that gameplay through a completely different lens. During those months of lockdown, I, like many others, felt a profound sense of loneliness. The lack of social interaction was tough, and grief added to the layer of pain made it even tougher. But diving into Persona 5 helped me process those emotions in a unique way. The game is an RPG where you change corrupt individuals' hearts by venturing into their mind and stealing treasures that symbolize their greatest flaws. But the missions aren't just about battling enemies, they are about building relationships in the real world. In the game's world, obviously. You form bonds with confidants, friends and allies who have their own stories, struggles and personal growth. Strengthening these bonds not only powers up your party, but also immerses you deeply in their personal narratives. Take Ryuji, for example. He's a character who has been unfairly kicked off from his track team and was abused by a corrupt teacher. Despite his struggles, Ryuji is fiercely loyal and selfless, always supporting the main character, who, like him, starts out as an outcast. His determination and unwavering friendship made him feel like the kind of person who would take a bullet for his friends, and, of course, you would also take one for him. Then there is Morgana, a talking cat who serves as your guide and companion. Morgana is more like a comic relief, but he is a constant presence in the game. He offers wisdom, humor, and companionship. The rare moments in the game when you are separated from Morgana are quite impactful actually. You genuinely miss him. Other characters like Ann, Makoto, Haru, Futaba, and Kazumi bring their own stories and struggles to the table. Ann, for instance, dreams of becoming a successful actress, but wrestles with insecurities and self-doubt. Makoto, the class president and a straight-A student, balances their academic responsibilities with personal challenges, including living in the shadow of her high-achieving sister, who is a persecutor performing an important role in the game's story. These characters and their journeys felt incredibly relatable to me, even when their experiences were different from my own. What makes Persona 5 so special is how it creates a sense of community. By the end of the game, the characters feel like friends. Their stories are woven together in a way that makes you root for them, cry with them, and celebrate their victories. It is rare for a game to achieve that level of emotional connection. For me, Persona 5 helped me navigate feelings of loneliness during a time when the world felt closed off. Interestingly, I think this connection is deeply tied to the game's origin in Japan, a society that has grappled with issues of social isolation, particularly among young people. The game seems to reflect a deep understanding of those struggles and channels that insight into a narrative that resonates on a global scale. During the COVID-19 lockdown, that message felt even more significant. The game's emphasis on forming bonds and overcoming adversity was exactly what I needed to hear. That said, I know Persona 5 is not for everyone. It is a massive game requiring over 100 hours to complete if you dive into all its content. It wasn't until my second playthrough with Persona 5 Royal that I actually managed to max out every confidant and earn the Platinum Trophy, a milestone I rarely achieve in games, but for me, the time invested was more than worth it. Even now, long after finishing the game, the adventures I had with the cast remain close to my heart. The memories of those characters and their stories feel like treasures I carry with me. And while I haven't yet played other entries in the series like Persona 4 Golden or Persona 3 Reload, I'm excited to see if they can capture the same magic. Video games often get a bad reputation, but my experience with Persona 5 shows how they can be so much more than just entertainment. They can be a source of comfort, a way to process emotions, and even a means of finding connection during times of isolation. To me, Persona 5 will always be more than a game. It is a story, a group of fictional friends, and a beacon of hope during a challenging time.